here's something about Jim Schwartz on his defense. He has to have 4 defensive linemen, and 2 of them he makes superstars out of. But he blitzes very little, so he's got to have his 4 defensive linemen take care of the pass rush. So he looks for guys that are lean. He looks for guys that are fast, that's got a good first step. And what jumped out to me was a player from Army named Andre Carter. He's 6'7". Now he's a little bit on the lean side at 265. And when I was interviewing him, he looked just like a basketball player, tall and lean, muscular. I think taking an ace pass rusher would make probably the most sense going into Jim Schwartz's defense. His schemes just rely on the defensive line to be stellar. Now, his junior year, he had 17 sacks.
Jeez.
Okay.
No, excuse me. He had 14 and a half sacks. He had 17 tackles for loss. He had 14 and a half sacks his junior year. He had 19 sacks in his college career. Now, I understand Army doesn't play in the ACC. They don't play in the SEC. They don't play in the Big Ten. So they're not going to play Ohio State and Michigan. They're not going to play Alabama and Army. I looked at their schedule last year, and they played teams like Colgate. They played teams like Air Force and Georgia State and Wake Forest. So maybe 14 and a half sacks is against lesser competition, but I think he's going to be a good player. And if we can get, it looks like Jadeveon Clowney's not going to come back. Is Alex Wright going to be that other defensive end? Is Isaiah Thomas? Are we going to bring in somebody in free agency? If not, we can draft somebody like Andre Carter.
Yeah, so I was just doing a little research on Andre Carter. PFF had him ranked as a first-round talent, which I like that. They said they likened him to Max Crosby, who I know
is also exciting.
We like.
Yeah.
He's a very good player. But like you said, Barry, lack of muscle mass, a little bit concerning as far as defending the run. And then they attribute some of that to the training that he also had to do at Army, and he couldn't really focus on bodybuilding for football year round. So do you think that that's something he can overcome in the NFL?
I tell you what, he's a workaholic. Since he plays for the academy, all he knows is hard work.
That's true.
He knows how to stay focused. He knows to win at all costs, come early and stay late. One of the questions I ask most players is after football, what do you see yourself doing? He says, well, I got to fulfill my Army commitment, and I'm going to be an artillery sergeant, and I can't wait.
That's awesome. Very cool.
I went, okay. You can't wait to go, shoot guns and put guns together and clean guns, and are you going to go shoot somebody? And you could tell that he was just focused. I had certain questions, what's your favorite, your favorite things to eat, or what's your favorite songs, or what's on your phone, a song on your phone that you're embarrassed about. The dude was just stone-faced. Everything was all, everything was yes, sir, no, sir, up and down the board. I don't care what it was. And, but I think he'd be a great, now, I'd love to see him put on 20 more pounds. Maybe Jim Schwartz likes him 265. Myles Garrett really isn't a real heavy guy. You can't be if you're going to be defensive end. But I do know this about Andre Carter. He doesn't have a first good step coming off the line. He's got a good first 2 steps. The dude is just out of a gun, and before you know it, he's leaning past that offensive tackle, and if he's not getting the quarterback, he's putting a hand on him, so the hurries are going to go up, the knockdowns are going to go up, the quarterback hits. He may not get the sacks. He only had 3.5 sacks his final year, but he had 19 total sacks for his career there, and he's just a beast, and he's just got great speed and high motor.
That's one thing I was reading was for being 6'7", 260 plus, that he moves very smooth, very quick for how big he actually is.
Yeah, and he's got 9 foot long arms, so he's got that reach.
I mean, just if this guy were there when we pick in the second round, I would be pretty excited to have him because of what you've told us.
Yep.
The production in college, the fact that, like you say, he's a workaholic. He's
no
super
nonsense.
focused. No nonsense.
I need no nonsense right now.
He's got those skills to be that pass rusher opposite Myles Garrett. And, with a guy who could be a first, even if he's first or second round talent, like that's awesome.
Yeah. And with the NFL today, you can't have 4 guys on the line, on the defensive line, and play them all game. You just can't. I mean, they're going against guys that are 312 pounds, 320, 308, and this guy's 265. So you got to be able to get players off the field for a blow, let them rest 3 or 4 players, come back on. This guy's an every down player. I don't see him going off the field at all. We've seen in the last couple of years, especially since COVID, Myles Garrett, more and more we see him standing on the sideline.
Yep.
Well, we got Isaiah Thomas, we got Alex Wright. With Myles Garrett, there could be your 4 at defensive end that you could rotate in, and this guy would compete for a starting spot year 1.
Okay.
I like that idea kind of now that I'm thinking about it. Maybe having Alex Wright kind of start out leading the charge on that side of the ball, and then just letting Carter get his feet wet, understand the game at the NFL level, and then, like you said, Barry, transition right into that starting role. That'd be pretty sweet.
Yeah. And he's just got a motor, and all he does is work. He's a very serious guy, and he just seems like he's focused.